I'm Matt Williams with Bosse's EVSC Community Link, here today at Innovation Point with Sarah Schuler, the president of EPS Architecture. Thank you so much for meeting with me today, Sarah.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me today.
You're very welcome. What is your exact role as the president of EPS Architecture?
As the president of EPS Architecture, I oversee the vision and direction for our firm. That means that I set the design direction, also the marketing direction. We decide which markets to pursue, how to pursue them, and just how we go about designing and working on projects. In addition to that, I do get involved with some design work. That means on certain projects, especially at the beginning, when I work to get projects started, to develop what that vision for each project is. That is typically one of the roles that I play. And we have a whole team, and in my office, a lot of people who have very specialized talents, and what we come together as the project develops, and we let everybody really do what they do best as the project goes through the different design phases.
How did you come about gaining this position?
I started with the VPS Architecture in 2000, and I was a graduate architect at that time, and just really developed my design skills in just working with clients and getting projects to develop. And I was offered a partnership from two of my former partners, who was Mike Schuler and Scott Veazey, and they worked with me to really develop into my own partnership and this role as president.
What exactly does an architect do on a day-to-day basis?
An architect's role is really quite varying. We start out projects just working with clients, dreaming essentially, and trying to start some early planning to see really what is it that is needed, and then to get into more of the practical questions of how can you afford it, how can we bring that into reality. That's really at the beginning stages. We do a lot of planning to help get projects set up, and then we go into design stages, in which once we know what we're going to build, we design them, we figure out the dynamics of it, we figure out things like the character, the cost, the detailing, and then we send this out to bid, and finally we work with a contractor to actually build the projects. And an architect is responsible for that full range of throughout the process.
Could you tell me a little bit about your childhood, your early background maybe?
Yeah, I grew up on the far west side of Evansville in a small community called St. Phillips, and there I grew up on a family farm, which was a great upbringing. It was one of those things where we really lived in the community, were very involved in the community, everybody helped each other. It was a great childhood. And then I went to Mount Vernon Senior High School and graduated in 1991. And after that, I attended Ball State University, where I studied architecture. And during that time period, I was offered a scholarship and able to study at the Technische Universität, or the Technical University of Berlin, Germany.
When did you know this is what you wanted to do with your life?
I think I have known that I've wanted to be an architect intuitively probably since I was a very young child. I grew up in a community where my dad and I would go out driving around. We would see a lot of structures under construction. And while they were under construction, you would see the framework of a building. A lot of times it was houses. And at that point in time, I was completely fascinated by that. So I would come home and I would start to draw out floor plans and that sort of thing. I never really lost touch with that, but it didn't really become reality until I was just about done with high school, and it was time to decide on a career, and architecture definitely was the path that I chose and was right for me.
As a female in this field, are there any challenges that you face?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges, especially when I was younger, was when I would go out onto a job site. A lot of the contractors, I don't believe, really took me seriously or thought that I knew much about buildings or how buildings come together. I did focus a lot on design, so it took a while to learn all of the technical, or much of the technical information, but with time it has become easier. I can go out on site and I don't have to prove myself each time. The other challenge of being a female in architecture is really the balance between family and professional life. It's this career is very demanding. Like I said, we do projects in cycles, and with that being said, it's one of those things where I also am a mom. I have 2 kids. I run a household, and then I also run a business. So it's like running and managing 2 businesses. And I believe that women sometimes just have to work twice as hard as the guys.
What are some of the things around this area that you mentioned that you've worked on?
I started out by working on quite a few of the public libraries with the Evansville-Vandenberg Public Library System, and then also in some of the other outlying areas, including the Ohio Township Public Library, the Central Library in Newburgh. Currently, I'm also working with Mount Vernon's Alexandrian Public Library. These spaces also play a key role in the communities as well as in their respective communities as well as our community. We have a great library system. I've also been a team member on the Ford Center project, and this building on Innovation Point here at 318 Main Street, we worked with the Arts Council of Southwestern Indiana as well as USI in this Innovation Center.
You mentioned you worked on the Ford Center here in Evansville. How involved were you with that, and how long did it take to complete?
Yes, I did work on the design team for the Ford Center. It took approximately 3 years to work through the process. I was on the design team, and we were working with a national architect out of Kansas City, and their name is Populous, and we worked with them on the interior architecture and interior design. In addition to that, we also worked on the LEED certification for the building and oversaw that process. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This is a green building rating system, and the Ford Center achieved the silver rating, and that just talks about the performance of the building and how it was designed with some environmentally conscious principles.
Are there any interesting things that your firm's currently working on?
Yeah, just recently we have been working with Indiana University on their Bloomington campus. It's a restoration renovation project of the Franklin Hall, and this is going to be turned into the new media school. It's really quite an interesting building because it was one of the older library buildings on campus. It was constructed in the collegiate Gothic style, and now once you go inside of it, it's going to be this high-tech media school. And it's been a challenging project, but I think one that's going to ultimately be very interesting both for the students, for the campus, and just be a dynamic space to be in. We're also involved in some projects here locally. We just completed a new entry to the Wesselman Woods Nature Center. It is just a new inviting entry to a space that needed a little more identity. So that has just been recently constructed. We also worked on the Hobstadt branch library. And this is a small gym that's just there to enhance the services that the library system provides in Hobstadt. And in addition to this, we are just starting on the team for the new Indiana University Medical Center here in Evansville.
Do you have any goals for yourself for the future?
Yes, my goals are really to look at Evansville and to put as much design into Evansville as we can. That means educating the community. That means looking around at the spaces and the things that we do build and really considering them before just putting them up. And that means taking good design and putting it into action. That is one of my big goals for Evansville. I think we have an incredible community. I want to see it to grow and flourish and to become a city that people from all around want to come and see, and that also younger people come and will say, that's a city I'm proud of, I want to live there, and there are things and there are amenities that make this such an attractive place for people to live, work, and just enjoy life.
Would you have any advice to offer to somebody who wants to become an architect?
Absolutely. I think creativity is at the heart of architecture. I think that developing your creativity and the way that you see the built environment is the key to being a great architect. And I would tell anybody to really focus on learning how to interpret the environment. That can be done through drawing, photography, interaction, and this is all in addition to learning systems about buildings, but I would definitely say that the creativity is the heart of it, and that's something that can only be developed through practice and just the development of your skills to see, to experience, and to interpret ordinary things in different ways.
So from everything you've told me so far, it sounds like you're a very busy woman, and I really appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to meet with me.
Thank you.
It was so great to learn a lot more about you, and I'm sure everybody watching also thinks the same. From Innovation Point in Evansville, Indiana, for Bosse's EVSC Community Link, I'm Matt Williams.